This summer has been the hottest ever recorded. The weather patterns are changing and some people have no idea why. The reasoning behind all this strange weather is climate change. Salem Press Encyclopedia of Science 2019 describes climate by characterized mean air temperature, humidity, winds, precipitation, and frequency of extreme weather events over a 30-year time span. Today, I would like to tell you about climate change and its impact all over the world. In my presentation, I'll discuss what climate change is and its effects, and I'll discuss the main causes of climate change. Finally, I'll suggest ways we can globally halt climate change. Climate change is a serious problem that needs to be addressed and has detrimental effects on our environment. It includes many types of extreme weather, including rain, snow, flooding, and a rise in temperature. Los Angeles Times, July 23, 2019, states in terms of climate change, we're not just talking fire, but sea level rise, coastal erosion, things like that. Fires are often caused by the rise in temperature due to climate change. The excessive heat dries out plants, then the sunlight hits the dried out landscape, creating a fire. These fires can burn for miles long and often leave families without a home, as well as no belongings. Dana Nucleati, on May 2018, wrote an article for Bulletin of the Atlantic stating the sea levels could rise by 3 or more feet by the year 2100, and some argue that sea will rise by 5 feet by that year. Exactly what happens and when will be influenced by the degree in which humans reduce carbon emissions, as well as uncertain dynamics of the Arctic ice sheet. This will lead to more flooding of coastal lands. Due to all the effects of climate change, there is less clean water and food. Christopher Flavielli wrote an article on July 15, 2019, stating the world's land and water resources are being exploited at unprecedented rates. A United Nations report warns, in which combined with climate change is putting dire pressure on humanity to feed itself. Floods, droughts, and storms, and other types of extreme weather due to climate change threaten to disrupt and shrink the global food supply. Already more than 10% of the world's population remains undernourished. Now you know about climate change and its effects on the environment, let's talk about some of the main causes of climate change. With climate change happening in the world around us, there are many factors to blame. According to Pamela Doman and Joseph Demento, 2007, people don't quite understand the seriousness of climate change. It is partly because politicians and the media have misrepresented the scientific community's strong census on it. Politicians, by selectively translating the words of mainstream scientists, and the media by presenting balanced accounts that give the views of a small number of contrarians equal weight with empirically supported scientific findings. The government is hiding climate change from the citizens. Why are they not passing laws to save the environment? One of the biggest contributors to carbon emissions is big oil. Recently, big oil companies such as Chevron and Shell have been sued for their contributions to climate change through their distribution of fossil fuels. Ann Carlson wrote an article for Los Angeles Times on August 12, 2019, stating that executives of these companies would have to testify about whether they knowingly misled the public about the threat posed by their products going back to 1970s. Big oil contributes to climate change through fracking and providing gasoline to cars. Though many people may think big oil contributes the most to climate change, global animal farming is the big culprit. Indria and Servadia wrote an article on April 2002 in Veterinary World, which states cattle rearing generates more global warming greenhouse gases than driving cars. Now that you know about some of the causes of climate change, let me tell you some ways to do your part to remedy the environment. The amount of damage that climate change has affected the earth is irreversible, but you can still do your part to help reduce the devastating decay. There are many ways to help the ecosystem heal. The first step is education, and you can do this through research and listening to speeches like this one. Another way is through the use of eco-friendly energy such as solar panels, or driving a car like a Prius that uses less gasoline. Recently, high schools and universities have been doing research on different types of energy to power cars. The Los Angeles Times published an article by Guda McDonnell on July 15, 2019, stating vehicles fueled with hydrogen cells, though not yet widely used, are one alternative to gasoline-powered engines in the future. One more way to help climate change is not consuming red meat. These huge farms of cattle fart, releasing huge amounts of methane into the atmosphere. So by cutting down your intake of red meat, some cattle farms will be forced to close, helping the environment. Clearly, climate change is a huge issue that must be remedied. It has major effects on our ecosystem. In my presentation, I talked about the effects of climate change. Then I talked about some of the major causes. Lastly, I explained what people can do to help the globe heal from climate change. Climate change must be dealt with as soon as possible. We must help the globe heal so our grandchildren and great-grandchildren have a planet to live on. Some simple changes can be the difference between life and death of our Earth. Thank you.